Hey everybody, it's Carm here, coming to you on a Thursday afternoon. Thank you everyone who watched and commented on my Edgar Froese video. I don't think I'd ever had that many viewers since my very first video, but it's clearly a testament to what him and Tangerine Dream's music meant to so many people. I mean, some of the comments were, very long and very emotional. It was clear it just touched a lot of lives, and something I was compelled to come on right away because it meant the same to me. So thank you everyone, and I want to do a proper profile of him and the group itself in the future. It would have to be in installments because between Edgar's solo albums and Tangerine Dreams, I've quite a few titles over the years. They just meant a lot. So eventually I'll do that. For this particular video, I'm focusing on a different artist, although along similar lines. Another German electronic musician, Robert Schroeder. Originally it was Schroeder and then changed it to Schroeder. Not so much, he wasn't so much a protege of Klaus Schulze, although he contacted Klaus in the late 70s, telling him he had some music he'd like him to hear, and he also designed and built his own synthesizers. I think he had an electronics engineering background, and Klaus loved the music and signed him to his new Innovative Communications label, and this was the result. This first album here, Harmonic Ascending. A beautiful blend of sequencer based as well as chamber, acoustic guitar, piano, and cello. In fact, the cellist on here, Wolfgang Tiepold, played with Klaus during that time. But I think a wonderful introduction to his music. It starts off again like an acoustic chamber, very romantic, lilting quality, and then goes into the synthesizers, and then the sequencer comes in, and it beautifully morphs into something completely different, but still sounds very unified. The piece that's playing now in the background is Day After X, which is my introduction to him probably around 91 or so on Musical Starstreams, a radio show I've mentioned quite a few times. But yeah, just a beautiful start to his career here. The next one here, Floating Music, from 1980, still again produced by Klaus Schulze. Goes into more of a progressive rock direction, this time with drums, and the synthesizers the melody lines to sound more, for lack of a better word, more prog, but still very nice, very nice blend of rhythmic and melodic ideas. There he is there as a young man, and Klaus wrote the liner notes, and there you see. And it's actually just two long pieces, kind of broken up into suites. But it's nice. Each album he makes, he somewhat takes off from the last, but he makes like a sharp turn without seeming too jarring, which I always appreciated about him. This third one here is the only one I have on vinyl of his, Mosaic, from 1981. This one also in kind of a progressive rock vein, although he has like a full band with him here. Guitar, bass, and drums. My only thing with this album is, in my opinion, the guitar was a little too, the way it was played was maybe a little too out front. It seemed to kind of not obscure, but maybe dampen the impact of the electronics, which are more subtle. But overall, it's still a good album, and I believe the whole of this is on YouTube. You can find it, so very nice. This next one here, Cygnus A. It was originally titled Galaxy Cygnus A. This is actually, I couldn't get the original. This is a re-recording, pretty much from what I could tell, note for note of the original from 1982. This is 2010 here, but it's basically the same album from the time. This he seems to go in a more, maybe more space music direction. I mean, you can see with the theme here too. But just expanding in general. The song structures are a little different, but still, his voice is still very much, very distinctive on here. This next one from 1983, Paradise. This one, it sounds like he's going more. He's not using his self-built synthesizers as much. He's going into a more maybe using the existing keyboards of the time. And, I like this little card here, right in for a catalog. And this actually introduced his, I think he's had a few singles, and this is his first one, Skywalker there. This one is more, introduces more digital drums and has that kind of, you know, you could tell if it's from its time, 1983. But still quite good. And still, the song Moments is very beautiful. The second one there, very, very emotional, kind of anthemic quality to it. The next one here, Computer Voice. It's from 1984. In a similar vein as the last, except on here he uses, or rather he goes, plays some older pieces, kind of updates them. Yeah, Galaxy Cygnus he plays on here, and Rotary Motion, which was on the floating music, kind of gives it more of the updated, you know, digital treatment of the time. Still quite nice. There's a little survey you could take there from the label. Hey, these are all reissues on Racket Records after he was with Innovative Communications. But yeah, still pretty nice, and you know, each album is like he takes a slightly different turn, but you know, makes like a, you know, reference to what, you know, what he had just done. Now this next one is actually the first one I ever picked up of his, actually on cassette, you know, before I knew much about him. Brain Voyager. Really nice. This is different from everything he'd done previously. I believe it was a soundtrack, and this is on the Lifestyle label. On this one he goes almost in a classical direction, not so much chamber, but there's female vocals on here. I wouldn't say operatic, but you know, almost like a choral sound to it, and very minimalist. It just has a whole different feel than the previous ones. Goes in a, I'd say like more of a dark Mysterioso territory, which I really like in particular. So I'd say this, along with the very first album, would be a really good introduction to his music in general. This next one I'd say is probably his most fun album to me, Time Waves from 1986. This one he gets really heavily into the digital percussion of the time, and you know, whatever the synthesizers, you know, probably DX7 or one of the, you know, very much of its time. It makes me think of Max Headroom. I'm sure some of you remember that that character. He did the Coke commercials back in the mid '80s. This really brings to mind that character. But a lot of fun. You know, just I think I remember picking this up with my brother at it was an all CD store, and driving around in the drizzling rain, listening to it and laughing. But it was a lot of fun. This next one, Driftin', from 1988. A little different than the previous one. Still very much in the digital realm. It goes a little more melodic, and to me it has kind of a nostalgic, yearning quality, which I always identified with. I could even kind of see by some of the song titles there. You know, there's just kind of a yearning to it, you know, without necessarily being, you know, syrupy. I mean, it doesn't draw you down or anything. It's still, you know, just has kind of a, you know, kind of a hopeful quality to it, I guess. Going through these kind of quick. I have quite a few here. Actually, not too many here. Not too many left here. Pegasus. On this album, he's back on Innovative Communications from 1989. Now this one goes in a more ambient direction, kind of a expansive, almost sprawling feel to it. Not really grandiose. Well, it's a lot like the cover itself. Just again, it kind of has that yearning to it, but very. There's just a sense of openness, of expansiveness, of just kind of going out, I guess, almost into the void in a way. Just, but you know, just very beautifully realized. And it's basically one piece of music, kind of broken up into movements. But yeah, just lovely stuff. Listened to it again last night, and just yeah, just puts you in a really nice frame of mind. This next one here, Hamaja from 1991. This kind of goes back into a more rhythmic direction, although it doesn't really sound, to me it sounds very ahead of its time in some ways. whereas you really couldn't, some of the early ones you can kind of identify the time that it came out of. This one seems like it's starting to go into more, it's almost like he's sort of anticipating what's coming later. Yeah, a little more rhythmic, good rhythmic and atmospheric combination there. Power Sound Edition, I guess it sounds like he remastered some of these with for a fuller sound, but very, very nice all the same. There he is at the time. Next one here, Mind Walk from 1993. This one again kind of takes up where the previous one left off. This introduces more guitar into the mix. He's actually a guitar player, but he hadn't played much on previous albums, and it comes a little more to the fore, electric guitar. And he also reworks the song Skywalker from the Paradise album, kind of updating it for the time. And yeah, again, very nice, very lush, atmospheric, electronic, and still rhythmic. Some of these middle ones I hadn't listened to in a while, so I'm kind of trying to relate it from memory, but still very nice, and still has his own particular sound, which he never really lost. He has a certain characteristic, kind of a has that mysterious quality, but also a certain whimsy, which I hear on most of his albums. And these next couple, in the most recent that I have, Brain Chips. This is from 2005. I believe 2005. Now this one goes into almost like club music, like dance music. You might have heard, like raves and stuff like that, or it's even characterize it as electronic trip hop. So it's more in that realm. But yeah, very nice. Probably out of the albums I've heard, this would be like one for, I guess, the dance floor. But definitely in the modern era here. Yeah, keyboards, guitars, recording mix. Yeah, he's more guitar on here too as well. But I still have a lot more of his to find. I mean, this is only maybe a little over half of his overall output, if even that. And this final one here, and the most recent that I have, Sphereware from 2007. Similar to the last again, although this one goes in a more, for lack of a better word, maybe like an abstract direction. Especially the second piece, a quarter of an hour, which is literally that, 15 minutes. Very spacey and hypnotic, great for headphones. I mean, this would be, this is a trip hop album, but this would be like tripping out maybe. Yeah, chill out electronica. But yeah, this would be really good. Either of these two albums would be good if you're coming from a more pop background, or more if you're into like the dance music, modern dance music, and you're curious about them. These would be good ones good as an intro. And as I say, I'm still even released quite a few since these albums, and at least half a dozen. So I still have some searching out to do. But yeah, and that's pretty much what I have of these. I just felt like sharing these. Revisited a few of them and meaning to talk about him for a while. But yeah, he's an electronic musician who I don't think has a great deal of exposure and is that well known, but he's been very prolific, and I'm sure he's been quite influential. And of course, coming through that with through Klaus Schulze, definitely meant something. Although he had his own style from the very beginning. So yeah, that'll do it for about now. I'm gonna be heading out of town in a couple days. I'll be away for a few weeks, going back, seeing my friends in the Southwest. For those of you who were with me a year ago, yeah, I might try to do a video again while I'm out there, and maybe, well, like last time I put it up once I came back home. But yeah, so if you don't hear from me in for a few weeks, or don't get any comments from me, or I don't respond, it's not ignoring you. I'm just leaving I'm kind of leaving the internet behind for a little while, and just going to recharge my batteries. And so yeah, I hope you're all well, and look forward to catching up to you then, and showing you some new finds hopefully. So hope all is well, and till next time, peace, love, and joy.